On March 1st, Akira Toriyama, the creator of the beloved Dragon Ball series and one of the designers of Dragon Quest, died. Dragon Ball Z was an entry point to anime for many Americans with Toonami. The reach of DBZ doesn't need to be described to you, because you already know. People around the world did the spirit bomb in honor of Akira Toriyama, most notably Argentina, having a massive turnout for it. It was like watching a live-action adaptation of the Boo Saga or something. Peru did a huge mural in honor of the beloved creator. Twitter was full of people expressing their condolences for the death of a man that changed their lives. Dragon Ball Z crossed cultural, racial, and language barriers in a way that modern franchises can only dream of today. Because Dragon Ball Z wasn't ruled by a committee trying to monetize people. It was the creation of one man who has proven how many people you can reach by just telling a good story, created with passion and imagination, something severely lacking in our entertainment culture currently. Toriyama is one of those success stories that gives you some semblance of hope in today's world. He went from being rejected for jobs, bumming cigarettes off his mother, to influencing the world. And the beauty of it is, it wasn't his goal. He just wanted to create. That's the true mark of an artist. I've always been a Gundam guy, but I'd be lying if I said Toriyama's art style didn't influence me in any way. And it didn't have me drawing DBZ characters in school like everybody else. Before Dragon Ball Z took off, anime and manga was really a niche thing. It was for hyperweebs like me and my friends, back when the phrase otaku meant something. In fact, it was almost a slur. The type of guys that were importing shows that were poorly subbed from Asia, because my buddy's mother used to give him like $100 a month, every month, for doing nothing. So he got all the cool stuff. I could tell you hours of stories that involved Dragon Ball Z, but we don't have time for that. So when Akira Toriyama died, I stopped working on my master grade Strike Jagan and started looking for SLI files. Cult 3D is my usual stomping grounds for SLI files and 3D print files, obviously, right? I sifted through a lot of bad ones, and then I found two good ones. Super Saiyan Goku's first transformation on Planet Namek by Kai Quart, and Majin Vegeta by Kaiden 3D. I saw many content creators on YouTube pay tribute to Toriyama by reading an article or reacting to his death by putting in as much energy and effort as DSP, but I can't go out like that. Some of my fondest memories as a kid was just playing imported Dragon Ball Z games with my friends. Legends was my overall favorite of all time. This is the only way to honor an artist I never met with my own art, and friends I may never see again. So I'm gonna go as hard as I fucking can. This is my tribute to Akira Toriyama, a 1/6 scale Super Saiyan Goku. The Planet Namek transformation after the death of Krillin and the near fatal injury of Piccolo. I'm just shooting through here using Chitubox Pro, actually, to put supports and everything on this file. To be honest, I'm not actually the best at this, and technically you probably want to do this at a, 90-degree angle or something for the best overall look. But unfortunately, that would lead to having support nub marks on the back of this print, and it would look really bad. So I'm going to be lazy and kind of print everything upright, which will lead to a lot of layer lines and stuff like that, which do suck, but you know, I'd rather do like a layer line or two rather than trying to clean up all these godforsaken nubs. I'm going to be working with the Uniformation GK2 3D printer. I'm also doing a review for this on my paint channel, so I figured, you know, two birds, one stone. That way I get some experience with this, and I can use it in the video. I was going to add Majin Vegeta to this build as well, but then I ran out of resin. The ease of use on this printer made making replacements for items a completely worry-free experience, which is very new for me in 3D printing. This is the most user-friendly printer I have ever used in my life thus far. The only real issue is me dropping the parts and breaking them. The resin I'm using is a Frozen AK water washable resin. It has amazing details, and with the right printer, like the Uniformation GK2, you can print it around 0.75 seconds for each layer, which is pretty much impossible if anything else right now. And you don't want to overexpose this resin, which I learned the hard way in this video, because then it's really hard to break off supports. It makes cleanup work so much worse. I'm also using the ultrasonic cleaner. Remember when I said if you overexpose the resin, it makes cleaning up so much harder? Well, this is that. That's as it happens because I'm stupid. I didn't do any tests before running the GK2. I just heard, hey, it's easy, let's go. And that's what happens. Always test each new printer you get to see what the ins and outs are, so you don't end up having to wear all of this stuff to cut the resin out. I'm also using the Frozen Sonic Razor Blade. This is also working in conjunction with MadWorks. This isn't that bad. Do you need it? No. Does it make things a little easier? Yes. Is it necessary? Depends on how precise you want to be. That's the best way I can sum up this very expensive piece of kit. But, you know, we're not here to review parts. As you can see, there's a little tiny nub mark on Goku's pants, and I have to use a normal razor blade to cut it off because the ultrasonic one would just, it'd be too much. Here's Goku in all of his glory. Overall, this sculpt is absolutely brilliant. This is one of the best SLI files for Goku that I've ever seen. Everything about this just pops. I hope that the artist makes more Dragon Ball Z stuff because I totally print them. All right, so I made the mistake of printing the base in two pieces, like I said before. Real dumb move. Also, water washable resin is very brittle, especially the frozen variety. So I still had to find a way to drill inside of these to create a bigger hole and fill the inside of the base with my own mixed resin because, listen, I ran out of resin to reprint the base, okay? So, you know, we have to take what we got and work with it and make it work. I love clear resin, by the way, because you could do so much with it as far as creativity. It's just wonderful to put a dye in there and just see the colors change. Making water dioramas is one of my favorite things for the sheer beauty of it. It's almost like playing God if God had autism. Normally you want to degas this stuff and get rid of all the bubbles, but since it's inside of the base, it doesn't really matter. You might be wondering, why would he do a glamour shot like this again? Well, it's quite simple. I pulled out my anamorphic lens, and I love anamorphic lenses for filming. They're absolutely beautiful. This is literally the type of lenses they use in major movies. Now for the least fun part of resin printing, cleaning up these pieces. An absolute nightmare. I'm using a vacuum machine I bought from Micro Mark, I believe. This thing can handle resin dust and wood chips. It's something you definitely want to use. I may have gone overkill by also wearing a full face mask, but believe me, you don't want resin dust in your eyes. It sucks. So I'm going maximum protection here. If you're looking for this machine, maybe I'll put it in the description, but it's not for the faint of heart. I recall paying around $500 for this, which you might go, that's insane. And I'd say, you haven't worked with resin for prolonged periods of time. Unfortunately, the spare Goku head I had printed that had less imperfections fell and hit the floor, and one of Goku's Super Saiyan hairs broke clean off. I'm also trying to rescribe in some of the hair detail that was lost due to sanding. And this is the one thing that sucks the most about resin printing. Supports can lead to you sanding out details, and trying to put them back in is an absolute stinker of time. I'm also using some of my favorite sanding sticks. These are Infinite Model. They're from Korea, so I would highly recommend them. Sab Chisel, Korean made. Line tool, I think that's Immature Uncle. This right here is a Display sanding tool. That's Chinese though. Grabbed it off AliExpress, real cheap. It saves time, you know, and that's the name of the game. While I was working on this, I was still editing videos. And this is a tool you can buy off of Amazon. I'm now mixing skin tone colors. You can use anything you want. You will notice that I used a purple base with red highlights. The purple base is a Gaia Notes color. They'll probably make it to America at some point. Why did I do this? I don't know. It was just kind of a whim. I thought a purple base could be cool for skin tones. I've never seen anyone else do that, by the way, so don't go following me thinking this is the way to be. I tend to just do things and not think about it and then sort it out later. And here we go, airbrushing. The long, arduous journey of airbrushing. I did a black back on this simply because, I don't know, I was going to do some white highlighting. I forgot what they call this. Probably just black backing, actually. You don't have to do this. You can do this any way you want. It's just how I went about it because I originally had a plan to do my paint differently than I actually did it. Everything I do is kind of like in the spur of the moment. I might have it planned out and then I change my mind and then it goes off the rails. We're now applying the skin tones. Remember, with skin tones, you need your base color and your highlight color. You can really see that base color coming through on the muscles of Goku. It actually looks really cool. Like, I was very happy with how it was turning out because I really didn't know if a purple base was a smart idea. It was just kind of like, I've never seen anybody do purple. And that was literally my whole reasoning to do a purple base. But it works, so sweet. There you go, because I thought black would be too rough. I see a lot of people do black bases for stuff, especially skin tones. I really don't believe in a black base for a skin tone, like I don't believe in a black base for whites, but that's just me. A lot of people hand paint at this point when it comes to these sort of small details, which is nothing wrong with that. If you're a good hand painter, this will not be an issue for you. But since I'm not that confident in my hand painting, in the sense of layering the red would take far too long, I masked off Goku's boots, which is also time consuming, but the overall results will pay for itself in dividends because I want this to be the best I can make it. Even though I airbrushed this in and masked it occasionally, sometimes the masking tape moves ever so slightly and you get paint where you don't want it. So painting a darker color like this very dark Prussian blue, I would say, from Vallejo, it's easier to touch up a small detail than to paint a whole bunch of red like this. It's kind of relaxing too. You know, I was listening to the King Cobra stuff from Snake Bones podcast. Pretty funny stuff, tubes. I am now adding flesh washes to Goku. Now, I know he's an anime character, and my original thought was to not add flesh tones. I just sort of felt like, let's see what would happen. With flesh tones, you want to do a little wash, and then you clean it up with, I see a lot of people use paper towels. That sucks ass. Don't do that. Get yourself some of these little dabbing sponges. I forgot the names of them, but these are perfect for the job. It gets what you want just right. It's too unpredictable with a paper towel. The brushes I'm using for small detail work and the eyebrows and facial features, etc., are Da Vinci Maestro's Series 35, I believe. They're very expensive hair brushes. Only use them with acrylics and water-based prints. Never anything with solvents. But I highly recommend these brushes 100% if you are serious about hand painting. They are the best brushes I've ever owned. I'm now dry brushing Goku's details of his clothing, the blue spots. Use really cheap brushes for this, or you could buy expensive brushes specifically for dry brushing. But overall, this is one of my favorite techniques because you could be lazy with it and get good results, but don't be sloppy. If you get sloppy, you'll get blue all over the place. Lord knows I know. I'm using Tamiya enamel paints right here for red because I figured all the little scratches on Goku's body would look better red rather than black. I don't know, it's just a feeling I had. When you're making your own custom washes, you want to mix mostly lighter fluid and a little bit of an enamel thinner, but not much. You want to use lighter fluid. The lighter fluid is less abrasive to the lacquer paints under it. Once you start removing the enamel paint with a little bit of lighter fluid, by the way, on a sponge thingy, whatever this thing's called, I don't know what it's called. You want that for this. And it's reverse washing. It's very simple. You get amazing results. And there isn't that much effort you have to put in. You just have to be careful. You glide over what you've done rather than putting in any pressure. Son of a bitch. To hell with you, Spotify. For Goku's hair, now I'm just using Tamiya orange to make the yellow pop. You can also do brown, but I feel brown it looks all right, but orange is just the far superior color to use. The thing is with brown, Tamiya's already made brown washes. It's very simple to do if you want to be lazy, but if you want to go that extra mile, make your own orange wash if you're even following this. I am trying like hell to paint in all these little orange spots. I've mixed black and orange, and it looks kind of black or brown, whichever way you look at it, but it's just a little extra something to sort of create the shadow within Goku's clothing. You don't have to do this, but it definitely helps. For the hell of it, I am putting magnets inside of this because why not? Most good models have magnets to secure the keys in place. The final shots of clear coat, so that way we can seal everything we've done, call it a day. The work is over-ish. I forgot that I gave this little signature. I usually sign most things I paint. This is one of one because I don't know if I'm ever going to paint another one of these Gokus ever again. And I also should have probably added the number of these things I've painted. I think I've painted something close to 20 figures and Gundam model kits that I've given away or sold to charity. And I really didn't keep count. Here are the primers I use for this Goku base. We've got Surface Evo gray, black, and purple primers from Gaia Notes, one of my favorite paint manufacturers. I use Gaia Notes almost religiously. Gaia Notes, Mr. Hobbies, Born Paint, etc. Here are the red colors I use, mainly splash paints. You're not really locked down to any red. Do whatever red you feel like using in any situation. The blue colors I used, once again, with some black, forgive me. Nothing static. Everything here, swap out for whatever color you want. Ultra Blue by Gaia Notes, Suzy Blue, Mr. Color. I don't even know what the hell they call that. Phallus Cyan Blue. It's probably the best color for Goku, actually. But I've never even heard of that word before. We've got Jet Black from Splash Paints. One of my favorite blacks because Splash Paints mixes everything to perfection. And it's so easy to apply with little to no effort. And the clear black from Gaia Notes. This is very useful if you paint female figures and they're wearing stockings or something. Skin tone colors. I realize now that, once again, this is all subjective in the sense of you can pick whatever color combination you want. And there's so many companies that have so many different skin tone colors that literally you don't really need a lockdown formula for me. Because in all honesty, I just sort of went with what I had and didn't put a lot of thought into it. But I made sure Vegeta had a more pinkish hue rather than Goku, who seems a bit paler, due to what I've seen from photos and videos of, obviously, Dragon Ball Z. And now finally, my finished Goku. Well, thank you for everything, Akira Toriyama. Some of my best memories involved your anime with my friends. And the best way I can honor an artist is with art. I gave this everything I had. I tried new things I've never done before, and honestly, I was real close to giving up on this when I was doing Goku. I thought like I screwed up the skin tone so bad that I didn't want to strip it. I was so close to trashing it, but instead of giving up, I just kept pushing forward like I normally do. And when you think about it, it's kind of what Dragon Ball Z is about. Pushing past your boundaries, getting better, trying harder, and not really giving up. A lesson that's lost on people today, I think. Oh yeah, rate, comment, subscribe, you bum. Oh, and one more thing. Chala, hey chala.